Hey y'all, it's Tammy from Texas Leather Design. I wanted to talk to you guys today because I watched several ladies that do sewing programs that primarily are bag making. Most of those folks, they're making bags, but they're doing it with vinyl. And I heard a few of them express some interest in starting to work with leather, and therefore they're going to need one of these bell skiving machines. I purchased mine in May, I believe it was, from Sunny Sewing Machines. They're in Dallas. We're located here in Texas. Any industrial sewing machine store should probably carry these. There's other ways to get them, but this machine is instrumental in making leather handbags, because when you are making these bags, leather doesn't like to fold like vinyl or cotton. So you have to be able to take the thickness down. Now these machines, you can purchase one that is a dual bell skiver, and that it will work on top and bottom. And so those machines are set up where they can skive leather that is chrome tan and also vegetable tan, but they're very expensive, probably in the $3,000 range. This was not, this was about half, slightly less than that. And so this only does chrome tan leather. And when I say skiving, what I'm talking about is, so you have your leather, this is a pebble grain. And so on the back of this, I don't know what y'all can see or not see, but hopefully you're able to see. You've got a flesh side here. This is the grain side, and then this is your flesh side. And what you want to be able to do, you'll notice this is thinner on this side than this edge, because I've skived this down with this machine. What you want to be able to do is remove some of this flesh so that you're able to take and fold this material over like a regular fabric, and then you don't have this crazy super thick seam that makes your industrial machine quite angry and frankly probably won't sew it. So that's the purpose of this machine, and I wanted to talk about it because it's a little bit scary. When you look at this thing, it's got 1,000 little knobs and dials, and it reminds me of something off of Dr. Seuss. So I don't know everything there is to know about this. I'm not an expert by any means, but I can show you the basics that I do know and make it hopefully slightly less scary. So you have a couple of spots that you're going to mess with on this machine. This one, this knob right here, you're going to turn this either clockwise or counterclockwise, and what that does is adjust the height of this. And I apologize, I don't know the proper names, but I'm going to call this a presser foot. This is what presses your leather material down so that it can be skived by the blade. In order to get your material under that, you're going to use this lever. This will lock and unlock that presser foot. Pretty simple. The only other dials that you're going to mess with on here are two. This one, this locks and unlocks, and I don't know what it actually locks or unlocks. I just know that Al, the technician at Sunny Sewing Machine, showed me you have to unlock this before you sharpen this blade. There's a stone up underneath here that spins around and around and around, and it will engage the blade when you use this knob. So this is the only one that you're turning to do the sharpening after you've disengaged this. It just literally like has a little spring. You pull it and it comes out. And then this knob here is what you're cranking, and you're going to do this slowly. Now this whole thing is set up, I opted for the shorter table. Reason being is we have no space. So I got the shorter one. You can get it in a full size if you want the extra workspace. We just didn't have room, so we got the shorter one. And I'm grateful because I just don't know. You'll notice back here, this is my sofa. Okay, so yeah. Anyhow, and so I'm gonna turn this on. It has a motor just like your industrial machine does. I think it's a servo. I believe it is, but it looks bigger to me. But there's a foot pedal on this machine, and so you're going to utilize that foot pedal down here to give it power. And then the other thing I'll tell you is when I first got this, they had this puppy cranked all the way up, like wide open. I had to turn it down because I didn't have control of my materials with it like that. So we've got this little knob disengaged here. I'm going to turn it on. And it's not incredibly loud whatsoever. The loudest part is sharpening the blade, but I'm going to show you the basics. So we need to adjust this for our thickness. And so I just kind of eyeball it. And so I sort of look, I'm going to put this down. I sort of look at it to try to see how thick I think it's going to take the material. And so you'll want to test on some scraps. Fortunately, this has this little gauge here, and there's markings across the top of this plate. And so that'll allow you to see what your depth is going to be. You can screw it and unscrew it, and it'll slide forward and back, depending on how deep you want your skive. This one is 3/4 of an inch, I believe, just by eyeballing it. And so having that is great because you can take this down to about a 3/8 of an inch. Seam allowance is typically what I find works best for most leather bags. A lot of your patterns, the ones that are out there, they're written to be for lighter materials like the vinyl and the cotton, and so typically they have 1/4 inch seam allowances, and that's really what takes me the longest. Is if I want to use an already published pattern, then I have to modify it. And you know, if you do any kind of sewing, once you change one measurement in that, it affects the measurements of everything else in the pattern. So for the most part. All right, so anyway, we're gonna look at this, and so I've got this disengaged. We want to sharpen this blade before we use it. This machine will not skive worth a darn if this blade is dull. So we're gonna give it a little bit of power. I hope you guys are able to see with me standing here. When I do that, you'll see that this little stone and wheel are turning. This is actually your blade edge right here. And so I'm gonna hold that constant speed on there and start turning this little dial until I get that stone to engage. I'm gonna have to use my other foot so I don't block the camera. There we go. Whenever it engages, you'll see some sparks because that's literally your blade engaging with the sharpening stone underneath. You want to do this slow. You don't want to go crazy on, off. Hold that constant pressure as you're going through. It seems like it takes forever to get it there. Okay, I need to go the opposite way. Let's do that. There we go, and you'll start seeing those sparks. I'm gonna hold it there for a minute, let it get a good sharpening. And then while you're still holding the power on, you're gonna disengage that wheel down there by twisting this knob back. Okay, so now our blade should be good and sharp. We can re-engage this little knob over here. Handle. I'm gonna call it a handle. Okay, so I'm not sure about the thickness on this, and so really you just don't want to take your material so thin that it perforates, obviously, but still thin enough that you can work with it. And so you're going to put it underneath here and press down. I watched Maggie 55. She's one of the designers that I get patterns from. Use hers, and she is phenomenal and an expert, and I wish she would do a class. So anyway, we've got this under here, and so now we're just going to guide this. We're going to start giving it our power, and you'll see that it'll sort of feed it underneath there. And you can go faster, you can give it more power than what I'm doing. I'm just trying to be careful. And you don't have to speed or do anything, you know, super fast. Okay, so that's pretty good and thin. It took it off nice and flat, and now I can fold this over and get a great seam between my two materials. That's pretty much it. If you have to, you can continue to adjust this height if this is not thin enough for what you want, or if you feel like, whoa, that's a little bit too thin. I have noticed if you try to go ridiculously fast, you can wind up getting your materials caught up underneath the edge of the blade, at which point you'll be cutting your panel and then you'll be mad. So try to be careful. But yeah, it's pretty simple. And I just wanted to put this out there because I feel like there's a lot of no information in the leather world. And so I think it'd be great if we start seeing a lot more people be able to make some leather items. So thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got something out of it. Oh, I meant to mention this. This blade is extremely sharp. And so, hold on, let me show you what I'm talking about, or going to tell you. This is not... Hey, sorry about that. I accidentally cut our video off before I was finished telling you what I was trying to say. Anyhow, so you want to use these little hemostats or needle nose pliers or something whenever you're going to try to remove the materials like this. There we go. Is the little shred that we took off of that other one. And so if you skive a lot, they'll start to get caught up underneath of this. Now they do make a collection system. It's like a vacuum thing that you can get and hook onto these machines, but that's also very expensive, like over $1,000. So to me, not worth it. I'll just let it fall on the floor. But anyway, if you start getting material like left up underneath here in this little curve, you're gonna need a tool to pull it out, because this is actually your blade right here, and you will cut yourself. You will cut the ba-ding-ding out of your little fingers. So don't put them under there. Use a tool. You've been warned. This is the little stone that you guys saw making all those sparks. That's what sharpens this blade whenever you do that sharpening sequence. All right, thanks again. Y'all have a great day. Bye.